Next up we have SRE, longtime sysadmin and author of several books, including the Cloud Book, and my personal favorite that has kept me from ripping out my hair so many times, Time Management for System Administrators, Tom Limoncelli.
Hi, I'm going to talk about you can't get or give empathy when people can't see what you're talking about. And this is a story about a project that, first of all, as a disclaimer, it's something I did at a previous employer who will remain nameless. So I can't take credit for everything. It was a big team. And actually, I came in at the end. I did mostly a lot of the validating of the process and stuff. But this is a story about, oh, wait, no, I have another thing I want to say. DevOps is not CI. And so I challenged myself to come up with a story that is DevOps without talking about just software development or putting things into production. So this is the opposite. This is a very physical process, the process of opening new offices. Actually, the process of running network services to new offices. I was working at this company. We were opening lots of offices constantly. And the process for just this network portion that my team was involved in, 30 linear steps. It was crazy. And it involved 12 teams to get it done. My team was involved with most of the steps, so we kind of owned the process, but we were treating these other teams as black boxes. So if we needed a range of IP blocks, we asked the network team. If we needed a building code allocated, we asked the real estate team. And why were we doing it this way? Well, it just kind of evolved that way. And it was easier to treat these other teams as black boxes than to collaborate. I mean, that involves talking to people. As a result, our process was highly variable. Sometimes it took us a month to do what we were doing for a building, sometimes 3 months, and worst of all, we couldn't predict which of those buildings would be the 1-monthers and which would be the 3-monthers. So we started mapping our dependencies. What are these 30 steps that we're doing? And it took 6 months of meetings to figure out what is this actual process. And we found undocumented steps. But for the first time, we had everything documented. We put it in a machine-readable format. We created this .ini file, essentially, that we could edit, we could keep under source code control. It encoded more than just dependencies. It had ownership for various steps, that kind of thing, deadlines. So we knew we thought we might be screwed up, but after we documented it and worked out the process, then we knew we were screwed up. And we figured out why. It's because this involved 12 teams and 30 steps. We really didn't even know the size of the problem we were dealing with. So step 2, we started meeting with these other 11 teams. The manager was good, but really what was important was when we flew to meet them and met team on team. And we asked three important questions. What are these dependencies accurate? We showed them these, we printed out the map on this huge sheet of paper. We asked, is our API correct? How are we asking for these things? Are we asking it in a way that makes sense? And what pain are we causing you, and what pain can you resolve for us? 3 reactions. One, most of the teams didn't even know they were part of the process, right? They were just getting these tickets and responding to them. Response 2, could you phrase your request differently? You're asking for a rock, but we deal with pebbles, bricks, and boulders. And every time we get a ticket, we have no idea what you're talking about, and we kind of guess. We guess, and that's why things are so messed up. And then we talked about our dependencies. And if a dependency is missing, it makes them delay. If there's unneeded dependencies, it means we're delaying and asking them. So the process was getting much better defined, much more repeatable. Oh, and as we were having these meetings, we were editing the INI file in real time and regenerating this graph. So people were seeing how the process was getting better during these conversations. And this was so much better than taking notes at the meeting and then coming back to them a week later with the new diagram. Machine-encoded dependencies meant we could write unit tests, we could write tools. So we started detecting widows and orphans in the process. And if we updated the process and added an orphan, we were told immediately. We were able to write tools that automated the project manager's tasks. So previously, they were having this horrible manual process. Now that they had a dashboard essentially, and that dashboard grew and grew and grew, and eventually it became a general purpose dashboard for a lot of different processes. For the first time ever, managers could look at the dashboard and just know who's blocking who, who's lagging, and we, for first time ever, were able to start predicting completion time. So this machine encoded process let us have tools and artifacts, and as a result, we could stop treating other teams as black boxes, and they'll stop treating you the same way. Thank you very much.